Bear hunting we will go. Bear hunting we will go. Hi-ho the dairy-o. Bear hunting we will go.
Said you want to make sure it works before we.
You definitely need to make sure it works.
But they have a good proven track record. I guess we can check around with some other districts, and especially in Durham Ferry, New York, where they actually used it and came up with a program with Mercy University right in our backyard.
But
So
some of this,
I get it, but
yeah.
again,
Some of this happens with
But
New York
again,
City, which you cannot compare
I'm
any
not
other
talking,
district.
I'm talking about Durham Ferry, which is not New York City, right?
Okay.
But again, I'm just saying if we go talk to some other districts that already have them,
We have,
and then they say that they've helped them with retention. I'm just looking at a bigger piece because every year we're talking about teacher shortages in certain fields and areas every single year that I've been on the board. And it's always been a problem with this certification. I'm glad that you're going ahead and taking it now, but again, we have to be like that in all areas where certification may need to be brought up because this isn't the first or last time we're going to talk about it. So I'm just saying that we need to harness someone that has experience in it so that we can get a better handle on it.
state is also looking at alternative ways, pathways for people to get certified. So I think we're all working hand in hand.
I just have a quick question, and if it's in here and I missed it, I'm sorry. For some of our other recruitment programs, we ask that the individuals who go through the program sign that they'll stay with us for 3 to 5 years. Or do we have the same kind of stipulation with this?
Yes, we do. It would be a 5-year commitment.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Sorry. For our other recruitment programs, we have a stipulation that if they complete the program, they have to stay with us for a certain number of years. And I didn't see it in here if that was a stipulation for this program.
You said 5 years?
Yep, 5 years.
Mary stole my question.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it can be 198.63 through the general fund budget. Next, our contracts through the Office of Student Support Services. The first one is an agreement with Upstate Medical University to open multiple school-based mental health clinics serving SCSD students and to recruit and supervise diverse candidates seeking initial and/or advanced certification in school-based mental health therapies. This amount is $581,961, and it's through December 2025, and this is going to be paid out of a new grant, a $5.5 million 5-year grant that we got for school-based mental health services. Next agreement is to renew agreement with Coordinated Care Services, CCSI, to provide additional premise zone specialists in each of the SCSD 6 high schools as an added trusted adult presence and provide a universal Tier 1, Tier 2 mental health supports, an amount not to exceed $426,000 through December of 2025. And again, this is going to be through grant, the Student Supports for Mental Health grant. Next is an agreement, an increase of agreement with the Central New York School Boards Association of amount of $5,000, and is to provide additional support to the Department of Student Supports in the Department of Human Resources. The total amount not to exceed now $13,100, and this is coming out of the general fund budget. Next agreement is to increase an agreement with Contact Community Services of $145,431 to provide additional staffing and training for schools requesting more support. This is a total amount not to exceed now $811,431, and this is going to be paid out of the general fund budget.
Chief, I have a quick question on that one.
Yes.
So that it's a significant contract, and it's a big chunk of change on top of a significant contract. And I guess my question is, are the schools requesting more support because it's going well, or because they're struggling to implement?
My understanding is that it's going well and they want to increase the usage of it. We also have a lot of new staff throughout the district over the last couple of years. So this is a way to make sure that they're trained and involved and part of it so that it's more encompassing in these buildings that they want to expand it.
Okay, thank you.
In the Pax behavioral game, the pieces, I'm a little confused. Pax is in all the schools now? And I thought we were moving towards a training of the trainer where we had someone that would be able to train our staff so we wouldn't have to be trained by contact as much anymore. That they would be, last year I asked the same question. It was that they were going to have someone willing to train our staff to be the trainer so that we could start to lessen our reliance on their contract or on their duties. So I'm confused if we're adding people, their contract is getting bigger.
So there was two parts of this contract. The first part, and good evening, everyone. The first part was to add additional SAP counselors at the high school. Regarding the
Mike, so you can.
I'm sorry, regarding the PAX, in meeting with contact, PAX requires the trainers to be trained nationally. So it's not that contact can train. PAX will not allow that. And so we're really just paying for the provision of the people in the buildings. And there was buildings that were requesting this because they were finding benefit from them. The data was supporting that classrooms were showing increases in student management. And so the request really came from building admin.
In building personnel that are sitting in classrooms and taking data and taking how that data is being collected. And I'm just saying, there's a lot of concerns and complaints coming out of the classroom.
And again, I shared last year that we attended a meeting with some parents that was like, they don't want their children rewarded for bad behavior. So a lot of folks, a lot of the parents that speak about it rewarding behaviors that are unwanted. And I understand what PAX does, right? To try to get a child to turn around. But if we have to, I guess, better explain it to the parents and the people that are receiving it too, so that they don't think that it's like a bribe-based, sorry for that, but like I'm trying to give you, here, take this apple and just be quiet for me for the rest of the classroom. I'm trying to figure that out because I didn't realize that we were going to need national dependence on this for the rest of the term of the contract.
Well, and speaking to, the parent piece of it, I'm happy to go or have contact come and talk about that. But my role as director of mental health and as a school psychologist by training, I can tell you that the model, and I'm not speaking specifically to PAX, but their model follows this kind of framework, is that reinforcement of positive behaviors in small increments is what changes behavior over time. So we're not rewarding negative behavior, we are shaping positive behavior. And it does require a lot of reinforcement to be able to do so. So the model certainly is something that we can talk to parents about to better explain it.
Just a quick question. Is PAX the one requiring an annual training? Is that what you're saying?
That's the national piece.
And I can get more data and clarification on that. My understanding from the buildings that asked for this, that it was for new teachers. So some of the increases for tonight's purposes were for a building that had a lot of new staff on board and to support the new staff in those buildings.
But is it a requirement for annual training? Like, so people that already had this training multiple times, if there's no updates, is it a requirement for them to continue to have to attend this annual training?
So I guess I would frame it more as a coaching as opposed to training. So they're in the classrooms, they're supporting teachers, they're providing feedback. So it's not a sit-down training is my understanding of that. It's more being in the classroom and supporting those teachers that the building admin are identifying.
And that's the whole, that is what we are paying for, that specific, the training.
We're paying for the coaching. So these coaches are in several buildings of ours. Again, the increase tonight is primarily for one elementary building, but we have coaches in these buildings. They do try to shift the grade levels in the classrooms that they're in, but it is driven by what the building administrator decides in those buildings is needed, and which classrooms need the greatest level of support and coaching.
I think what I'm trying to ask is, in order to use the program, do you have to have the training every year?
I think we all asked that.
Last year it was yes.
I believe so. I mean, I believe that, yes, and I guess I'll get clarification on what that actual training looks like. But my understanding is the training is more of a coaching embedded model, where they are in the classrooms. Could a teacher potentially require a coach over 2 years? Yes, that would be the case. But again, I can come back with more information at the next board meeting if needed.
I mean, because this document says the scope of work says the specialist also trains and mentors 2 individuals to be identified by the principals at each site to become the PAX positive action coaches. So hopefully
So there's a lot of different methods to reinforce positive behavior, and I think on a building level, everybody should be doing the similar program, right? Everybody should be on the same page, but I don't know, I think the whole system wide.
Question's different. My question is, are we not allowed to do the PAX model if we don't do this piece? Right. Yep. And we can, correct, we can get clarification.
Last year, the answer was a little bit different. So that's why I'm kind of confused now, because last year it was, they were going to give us a self-sustaining model.
We'll clarify. Thank you. Questions?
I emailed mine.
Yep.
Y'all gonna need some time to answer mine.
Yep, certainly.
And I know that at the last work session, we had some guests come up, talk about improvements to our chronic absenteeism. And so if you'll indulge me for just a minute, I'm a charts and graphs guy, so I'll put some charts and graphs up. This is elementary school, so we're just looking at elementary schools. The news when it comes to absenteeism in this district is improving leaps and bounds. And you can see this is our last year in the blue. We're consistently week on week. Our students are attending at a higher percentage that they have in the past. The number of students with satisfactory attendance, that's 95% or higher, is well above where we were a year ago and 2 years ago, with a 9% improvement over those 2 years. When we look at our K-8 buildings, we're seeing the same thing. Again, with the blue bar, our percentage attendance consistently higher than we were a year ago. More of our students showing up in the satisfactory range. Middle schools, same thing, consistently higher all the way across. 44.9% satisfactory attendance. We're, five percentage points ahead of where we were a year ago. And high school is probably the most dramatic. Again, consistently higher. This dip that we see here is SAT day. And the high school's doing something different with the way that we administer the SATs. Had a significant impact on that week's attendance and has kept us well higher. Look at the difference, 32.8 to 47.2 when we talk satisfactory attendance. So again, we see it in the percent attended. We see it in a decrease in our chronic absenteeism. And with more kids sort of building that cushion at the satisfactory level as the school year goes on, hopefully our trend will continue. We are a couple of days ahead of where we were in the previous years. So when we get to 60 days, it'll take another day to become chronically absent. We'll actually see another good jump at the 60-day mark. So good news all the way around, but I thought I would share quickly.
In terms of the first presentation, I just want to say for the math, obviously 16% is not something that we should be celebrating, but I think that it's really important just to say thank you. And they're improving more than 9 points in the course of 3 years is significant. And as I was saying to the superintendent, if in 1 year there was a 30% increase, I would be suspicious about what that is about. I mean, incremental change is a real thing. I think that the next presentation is going to maybe shed some light onto why ELA is holding steady. But in terms of math, it seems like we have a very, very, very long way to go, and we owe it to the students, but we are moving in the right direction. So thank you to everyone in the district that's helping to make that happen.
Britton. Next presentation. Please.
You was happy about that.
Hmm?
Talking to Karen, I don't know how she was happy about that.
I'm not saying I'm happy, but I think acknowledging a 9-point increase in performance. I mean, we've got to thank our teachers.
So we get to the next presentation and they say that not all groups is getting, not all teachers are. So I'm just saying.